we're now at about 465 registrants, and a mix of people, a lot of founders, CEOs, executives, a lot of professions, including a lot of doctors as well. I am extremely humbled by people who, on a normal day, go ahead and save some lives and come back to learn from what's happening in AI. So just feel very humbled by that. I think from a recap perspective, I'll share those separately. Don't worry, these are all independent sessions mostly. So if there's a specific topic or something to learn, you can just watch that from the recording, or I'll just share a summary of that separately. All right, let's get into it. We're now on time, so people who joined in, respectful of that, thank you so much. Yes, Outlook. Yes, you can go back down now. Thank you. Alrighty, so let's look at what we have over here. Today we'll be looking at some of the business tools, and you can see in the poll survey question what kind of tools that we're looking at. Basically, office tools that you might already be using, and the idea was to maximize the AI-ness of these tools. Most of you from the latest poll, you can see the poll over there as you're answering them, are on the Microsoft Suite. So that's why I said we will take that. And most of you are on the Microsoft Suite. There's a couple of you on the Google Suite. Zoho, good stuff. I'm a bit curious what the something else is, as I'm sure all of us are, but we'll wait for that. And yes, the pen and paper people. So this was a multiple choice question, so you can choose that as well. Yes, for everything else AI can't do, that's still human intelligence in action. But, this is where we are. Okay, so for those of you joining for the first time, just a quick intro about me. I'm PGP 12. I was born and lived in mostly different countries outside of India. I worked in Australia for about 8 years. The last 4 years is when I set up this company, Quantana. So we are now 98 people across product development, design, and growth, working with many Fortune 500 companies. On the side, I get invited to speak at various prestigious institutes, like the London Business School, Carnegie Mellon University, to name drop a few. And I really like doing this, learning new things, sharing things with others, and learning from others, as this community has taught us. Just a quick overview of our company. We've been working with many large organizations, Fortune 500s, across different countries and different industries as well. So we kind of get in when somebody says, how do I do something? And we figure out a solution, especially ones that don't exist. I hope everyone's able to hear my audio. I think sometimes it just glitches out for about 10-15 seconds. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. There you go. Cool. There's one thumbs up, so that's encouraging. And there's the tsunami. There we go. Okay, fantastic. And second wave. Okay, so you might have seen the slide already if you've come to the first and second session, but it's just worth repeating how to think about AI as of today. When somebody says, I want to learn AI, what I hear is, I want to learn car. So what does that mean? Does that mean, do you want to build an engine? Because that's like at a data scientist level. Do you want to build the car together? That's similar to a prompt engineer who needs to understand the mechanics of it. Or do you want to just be the driver, which means use it like an application, use tools that can get stuff done. And then at the top level, you're sort of running the business, so all of the below is just invisible to you. And as a technology, you're a productivity user. This is a level of invisible AI that just makes life easier, right? So for today, we'll mostly be sitting at this layer just to get a feel of what kind of applications out there. And as per the usual format, we'll spend probably the next 80-90 minutes on me kind of just going through different tools. Wherever this tool exists that you can play around with, you can take a quick pause and try it yourself. And if you're not able to do that, don't worry about it. This is meant to just be a showcase of different tools. And like I said, today is going to be the most disappointing session of all the sessions. There are going to be some things you can do, some things you can put to use. Some of you are in a Microsoft shop, some of you are in a Google shop. So you might just watch and enjoy, grab some popcorn, just chill. That's okay. But the takeaway from this entire session, even if you don't use a single tool or a single use case of this, is just to be aware that it's possible. Because this is what is possible as of January 25, 2026. And things will only get better, right? So if you're aware of something instantly in your brain, it's an unlock. In the future, something will be available to you in some shape or form, and then you can put it to use. So for today, we'll be sitting at this level, looking at the different Office tools and seeing how we can put some of them to use. Yeah, okay. And we do have the Q&A, so I'm looking at this on my second monitor over here. So if you have any questions, please ask over there. I'm just looking in the Q&A over here, and we'll go from there. Okay. Oh, just for people who joined in last time, we were using NotebookLM to generate slides. So probably I will show you the most useful lesson that I've learned since the last time, because I too am discovering things, is the ability to extract the text from images. I think this was the #1 request from everybody in the last time. And I'm going to be disappointing you in many ways. And one of the ways is that this feature exists right now in Canva, which is a graphic slide making tool, and specifically for a paid version of Canva. Like I said, I know I'm breaking hearts, but this is currently the state of AI right now. So just be happy that it exists, and maybe it'll roll down to the free version shortly. So let's say I've got this image. So I made this on NotebookLM. And it's a single image. And last week, I basically told you, why don't you just, like, this is what we do. If you want to change something, we would just put like a Band-Aid on top, just paint over the wall. And just make that white. And then put some text on top. And be like, AI framework. Right? So last week, this was the power of AI. Sure. That's pretty much it. This week, I'm happy to report there's a slight improvement in that, where I can click on Edit, and there's now a Magic Studio over here. And if you go a little bit to the right, there is a thing called Grab Text. And then I can select, you can see here, there's a visual model that's just trying to figure out what are all the different text boxes. I'm going to select All Text and click Grab, and then I'm going to wait for a few seconds. And now I have a fully editable slide with text boxes individually extracted. And I can change anything that I want. Automotive car analogy, right? So this is, yeah, you can see the image is still like a block on the backside, but that's okay. I can manipulate it. I can do other stuff, etc. But I think this right now exists inside Canva. I fully expect that Google will offer this as a solution as well. But for those of you who've been asking, this is what I found. It's good enough for some of the work we do today, and hopefully it'll be there available everywhere else. So yes, I can see a lot of happy tears in some of you who've been trying to figure a solution out for this. So with that, this might be probably the happiest news I have for most of you today. After this, it's straight down. All right. Now, let's look at today what AI and business tools are about. So broadly, the business tools that we'll be looking at are spreadsheets tools, so Excel and Google Sheets, slides, PowerPoint, etc., and your different docs. So the kind of functionality each one of them offers is slightly different, but fundamentally, they're all limited by technology as of 2026. We'll go through a couple of these examples in bits, and hopefully at the end of the session, some of you will be able to use some of these in a very useful way. Some of you will just know that it exists and assign it to somebody else to do. And some of you will just be like, okay, let me know when it's a free, because I'm not going to pay for this subscription. So I can see already, no matter what we do, half of you are going to be instantly disappointed. It's like Pizza Hut or Domino's or Coke or Pepsi. Somebody's just not going to be happy. But that's okay. We're just aware that it exists today. So just a quick hot take as of today and as of 4 p.m. today. My personal opinion is that the Google Suite in AI is better than Microsoft Suite. It's a personal opinion. Don't go after my family or company in judging this aspect of things, and that too as of this timestamp, right? So maybe by tomorrow this will be better. And I'm already seeing Microsoft has this new frontier model available for alpha testing. Even G Suite is saying alpha testing, etc. It's still very early days, right? So prepare to be disappointed by what today is. And probably some of you are wondering that, no, it's going to be great. Whatever you show is amazing. I'm personally disappointed. I'll be happy if you're happy, but this is as of today. Now, why do I say it's slightly better? Just kind of getting to the point. The way G Suite currently works, it treats AI as a collaborator. This is kind of what you expect of AI today, so I'll show you this. And so the Microsoft gang is just going to be disappointed that they don't have it yet. That's just as of today. And right now, Gemini models and Nano Banana are there on Google, so you kind of get the best AI model for images, etc. Whereas Microsoft, they're currently, as of today, giving you the GPT-5. They're not giving you the GPT 5.2. And their image and model is slightly worse. It's slightly worse, but it's still fine. You'll find use cases for it. Again, these are all already amazing by 2025 standards, but if you have to put them side by side, I'm kind of leaning on this. And there are certain small tools that I actually find useful. Like, for example, there's an equal to AI functionality in Excel, which I'll show you at the moment, which is quite nice to use. And overall, the Sheets and Word experience is better from my today's experience over here. Whereas in Microsoft, they've just launched a agent mode in a frontier channel so that very limited people can use it, or it's just very early stages. But it seems very promising. So maybe this time tomorrow, Microsoft could be better. When it comes to PowerPoints, though, I do like one use case in Slides where it seems better than Notebook LM and Google Slides, the entire ecosystem. So if I have to pick and choose who's better at what, Microsoft gets 2. Google gets 2 and Microsoft gets 1. That's just as of today. Don't kill me. Okay. I think there are a lot of Microsoft managers and product shops over here, so please forgive me. Yeah. Okay, yes. And I'll go on with this one. Okay. So no, I didn't have a full slide on this one yet, so that didn't get created, but I'll just jump into showing how things work. So now let's just start with something blank. And I'm going to do this side by side so you guys can see kind of how this is Google. And I'm just going to open Microsoft Excel. Okay, so let's say you're just creating something new, like you were asked to just start working with some some content, or you're just asked to create a framework of something. So if you see over here, I'm going to just open up 2 empty spreadsheets, and I'm going to start using the blank sheet along with AI. Now in G Suite or in Sheets, there's a Ask Gemini sort of little button over here that pops out the Gemini chat and shows you this, right? And in Excel, if you go to Excel Copilot and Excel Labs, and then you click on this agent mode frontier, which may or may not be open to everybody, but I'll just go ahead and click open. So there's Copilot, and then there is Excel Labs, and within that there's agent mode. right? So this is supposed to be the most cutting edge of what you can get. And this effectively is trying to mimic what we can do in Gemini over here. So let's just say create a project plan sample table. Right. So I'm just gonna start by just using some sample data. Right. So this is often good for just discussing, or you're just trying to ideate what a structure might look like. Now you can use GPT, Gemini, and say, hey, create a proper structure. But the benefit of this integration, and this is why I really like what Google is doing as of today, is I can type this here, and it appears here as a fully functional table with filters, and I can edit things. I can do a whole bunch of things, right? So I really like the way this works. And if I just go to my Excel online with the agent mode, and I will just, in fact, just for comparison, I will just paste the exact same thing over here. Yeah. You can actually see what it's doing. So there's a thing called reasoning mode in AI models where instead of just giving you the answer in one shot, they kind of go step by step, and then they tell you what they're doing, and then you can see what the final output is. So let's just see how it goes. But as you can see, Gemini just kind of did that in a fraction of a few seconds, whereas Excel is still thinking about it. Still thinking. So while it's thinking, for those of you who have slides or Excel, feel free to just open up and see if you can at least find this Copilot and Excel Labs, just to see if you can do that on the side. Okay, it's still generating. Okay, it's got some accuracy. By the way, for those of you wondering how I come up with what to teach on a specific day and what the whole course outline is, I have only written the topic of the course 3 months ago, and then I sit roughly on a Saturday to kind of frame what I'm going to do. And on Sunday, I do a fresh research of every use case to make sure that I'm getting whatever is the latest. So pretty much I know what I will be showing you guys by about 1 hour before the actual session. So that's why even the what is good is timestamped to the hour, just so that it's as recent as it can get. Okay. Yes, so there's going to be a lot of frustrated questioning of where is this, how do I find this, etc. Some of these will be, you might find this in a Copilot because it's a paid version. Your company enterprise agreement might have that. Some of it may, your Excel Labs might be disabled by your enterprise because this is supposed to be a sort of alpha testing kind of model. You can see it's being, the agent mode will be removed from Excel Labs, probably trying to merge it back into Copilot. So yes. So I'll show whatever is possible as of now, and some of these features may or may not be there. That's why I said it's going to be slightly disappointing to some of you, but if I just say create a project plan on a new sheet, just to see what that looks like. And you can see here it's generating something which is decent, and I can click and add to new sheet. It may not always appear, but you can see it's pretty good. Okay, so this is not bad. And now you might be wondering, why does Microsoft have two different ways of interacting with a AI? One of them that asks you to add, and the other that just goes ahead and does this, right? So even Microsoft has different teams and different people working on different aspects of using AI, and some of the features are mature enough to be released as a Copilot, and some of them are not mature enough to be, they're still tucked away under this agent mode and Excel Labs, etc. Right? And depending on your pricing tier, your enterprise agreement, etc., this may or may not be there. So again, there will be a lot of disappointment. I can visualize some of you just going, "Oh, this is not for me," but that's okay. It will eventually be rolled out. Eventually, all of these features, once they're done their testing, will be rolled out to different flavors of free, medium, paid tiers, etc. Okay, so we just looked at one example of just getting sample data in and seeing what that looks like. So let me just create another one. Create sample sales data about 100 rows. Okay. Insert. Okay, it gave me about 10 rows. Generate another 25 rows of information. Okay, so I'm just filling it with sample data. I've literally given nothing specific about what I'm selling, who I'm selling, but this is a typical sales data kind of thing, and I'll go ahead and do the same over here. Create sample data about 100 rows. Let's say it may or may not like it, but I will use Copilot just to see what it does as a base level. It's going to generate some data. Can you guys hear me okay? Not sure why it's just splitting out every few seconds. Okay, cool. Yes. And Excel format, okay. For now, I'll just add new to sheet. Let's see what it does. I'm giving more data. Why am I generating data? Just to let you know that this is possible, right? You can go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate it. Gemini, you can generate it, etc. Once we have some data, we'll do some analysis and see. Oh, okay, this is, sure, okay. If you say so, I can generate that. Okay, so while we're doing this, one of you guys have very kindly sent me some sample data to work with. Let me see if this is the one. Let's go to file. So I'm going to try and see if I can do some analysis on this information. So thanks for sending this across. And yeah, so this is some similar data. Something has been sold, some countries, and let me see if I can go ahead and analyze this information. Let's see, what can we ask? Show me the total value sold per country per month. Now, here's where even this is disappointing to me. I have selected something on the left side, and I'm expecting you to use it and give me the answer. But it says, would you like to upload the file? And it doesn't know that I'm looking at it, right? So that's the nature of the base level integration of Copilot. So maybe I'll just paste this in and just see if that runs and see what it does. Meanwhile, I'll open the same thing on here on Google Sheets. Just open a new one. I'll say that now. What did I ask there? Create visual chart. By the way, to be absolutely frank, I would not even come to spreadsheets and try and do this. I would just use Gemini directly and just give me these values. And in fact, the Gemini built into here, I'd say, is a little bit more mature than what I'm seeing right now because it knows the context. It's able to analyze it. Okay, I'd calculate the total value aggregated and so on for so countries. Would you help me visualize? Yes, please visualize this data. I swear I just saw it and then it disappeared. So yeah, let's see what happened here. Let's go back, preview. There you go. Okay, not bad. It's given me the total value sold per country. I'm not sure where it's per month. Okay, it's taken this as there's only 1 month worth of information. So, okay, so this is not bad. It's given me a graph. And maybe I will ask it to say, create a line graph to show me the total value per country per week. By the way, I hope you guys are seeing I'm using my speech to text to quickly get data in. You should be typing that in. And yeah, I think just so you guys are seeing this, I'm kind of looking at this information as, okay, the weekly, the price is going, so it's not the total value. You're right, I'm misusing this. So maybe I'll just say, show me the unit price per country every week. Okay, let's do that. Already switched on. I'm glad you guys are looking at this as actually looking at this information. Okay, so it's taken this as week 1, week 2, week 3. Create a line chart of the average unit price over time for the top 5 countries. So basically, I'm going to select that. And so the way the Gemini model is able to do is kind of know fairly intuitively what kind of analysis you're doing based on the data you have. It's better integrated from the sources, and it's showing me a decent graph of this information. And if I want, I can insert this. Maybe let's create a new sheet and just insert it there. And you can see that it's created a graph as well as the data table below. So wherever that information is available, it shows a number. If not, it just blanks out. And there's a pretty decent graph. So roughly every point is sort of plotted for each country, etc. Right? So this is fairly usable. So in a second or two, I was able to get this kind of insight or this kind of visual without having to worry about how to use sheets. Now, like I said, to be frank, most of this analysis I would pretty much just do using existing systems like pivot tables, and then you can select some of these values or average unit price based on what it recommends. You can just kind of quickly add that. Somehow it's not working, but pivot tables are still, yeah, thanks. Pivot tables are still kind of a very efficient way of analyzing information. But say you don't want to do that, you can just query using this and quickly get this. So for example, I said, show me the total. Again, I realized the data is incorrect. It's unit prices. It should not be total, but it gave me a nice visual that I can see for different countries, etc. And I can just also insert that in and quickly get the data. Let's now go over to our friends at Microsoft and see how this guy's doing. So that's very encouraging, isn't it? Let's see, let's go to code and let's go back to preview. Yeah, now it works. Don't ask me how I knew that would work. It kind of just does. And now it's showing the average unit price per country per week. So this is a quick way of analyzing things. And if I wanted, I think I should be able to download it or pretty much just copy that as an image. So this is an image. This isn't an editable graph. So this is, again, another trade-off. You can, if you're just creating a report, you can copy this into your Word document and do something with that. Or you just paste it as images. So I kind of prefer the spreadsheet version where I can actually go back and change these numbers, and then the graph will get updated. So this is a live version that's there in Google Sheets that's currently not there in Copilot. Now this is on Copilot, so Now maybe the Excel Labs version is slightly better. Let's just see if that is there. And what was our query that we gave here? Show me the unit price every week. And the agent mode basically does a more deeper structured thinking. That's just how it works. Kind of tries to figure out what you want. And I've also not given any context. So let's see if it's able to figure out based on this information what it can do. It's going to take its own sweet time. It's not going to be fast. By the way, if you do have questions, you can ask it in the Q&A section of this. I am trying to read off here. And we will end in roughly an hour from now, and then take any Q&A live wherever possible. Okay, so this is going to take its sweet time. So this is one kind of analysis where you can quickly prompt on one side and hopefully get some results. If I kind of go back to my slide over here where we have the AI as of today, we're generating templates, we're analyzing data, we're generating graphs and using AI again for summary. So you can just ask the LLM model to quickly analyze and give you some output. This is pretty much what we can do right now as of today. And I'm a big fan of what Gemini has done in terms of making it just easy to select some data and quickly prompt in the right side and quickly insert images, quickly insert graphs back, which are fully editable. The nature of Copilot as of today is not as good. I had to kind of copy paste this information in and say analyze it. But it did create some graphs, which again, while it didn't work the first time, it worked the second time on that. But it's a pretty decent use of quickly generating something visual. And here you can see here, let's see what this has done. So it's thought about it for 89 seconds, and it's giving me the weekly unit price. It's created a new sheet. It shows me the unit price per destination per week, so the week of a certain date, etc. And it's able to just convert this into a table. Now let me just say, help me visualize this. And this will take some time. This is disappointing. Okay, it's gonna do that. It's gonna take at least 90 seconds. So let me not dwell on that. Over here, you can see Copilot. It's fairly decent at copy pasting this information and getting some sort of analysis. That being said, in almost today's day and age, how we normally just do it these days is just take this information, either paste it in or upload the file. So let me just upload the original file. I think this one. Based on this data, give me the average unit price per week per country. Now, what happens in the background, just for FYI, the way AI works right now is it's a language model, which is good at understanding text and figuring out your intent, but they're still not very good at computing numbers as of yet. So in the backend, what happens is it creates a mini application. Like here, if you click show code, it actually creates a small application that reads the file, takes the header of the information and kind of like the first few lines, figures out what it needs to do. So grouping, renaming, sorting, all of that. And then it gives you the output of that code. And that output is what you get as a data table over here. Right? So it's not as straightforward as the AI magically just calculating everything, because AI or LLMs specifically are not very good at numbers, right? So when I see some code being run, that gives me more trust. And in fact, the better practice is to create tools that compute the numbers for you so that you can rely on that tool more than just the AI. In this case, Gemini, it's getting better. It can build that backend tool that can quickly analyze and give you something. Now, let me just say, create a graph to help me visualize this. And once again, it should be taking the data. It should be creating a small Python script that can then generate a graph. Yeah, you can see that. It's created a tool, which most of you will ignore. You don't really need to get into that, but it does create a line graph over here that visualizes the numbers. Yeah. And for most of our day-to-day analysis, this is good enough. We upload the file, we run the analysis, we take these graphs, etc. Second best use case, if I had to pick and choose, I'd open this up in a Google Sheet, and I would just say, take this data and generate the same thing, and I can create the graphs and I can have a conversation. In the pecking order, my current worst performer is Microsoft's Copilot, where I had to kind of copy-paste the information if I'm using Copilot. Or if I'm using Excel Labs, then I can at least select something, but it's really, really cumbersome to use. But yeah, it did do this. So I did get a graph out of this, finally. And it's editable, and there is a table at the top. So you just had to wait about 1 minute, 30 seconds, but 97 seconds to get this. What Gemini is able to do in a few seconds, or Sheets is able to do in about the same time as well. Okay. So I will take a pause here. Again, some of these, the Copilot didn't generate the rows for the first time. Yeah, these are all very flaky to some extent. That's just the nature of tools. I'm qualifying multiple times that you will be disappointed with what you're seeing here, but it's just good to know that people are working on it. This is the alpha version, so it may or may not be there for everyone. I did say that some of these features are being rolled out to some people. Some of these are still in sort of early testing phases. Copilot is likely like a paid functionality, and Copilot Labs, Excel Labs, is even more experimental. You might have to sign up somewhere. I'll see if I can dig up some documentation on how to enable this, so check it out after the session. Okay, for the intents of today's session, it was just to make you guys cry a little bit and kind of hit the wall of what is possible today. And like I've said in the first session, echoing the words of JPMC CEO, if you're not frustrated by AI capabilities today, you're not using it enough. So use it to the limit of what's possible today, get frustrated, and wait for the next update to come in and see what we can do when that comes in. But just know that these are the things that are possible as of today. Like, this might have taken at least 20, 30 minutes to kind of clean up and do some visual that now I'm able to do in a few seconds. Right? So that itself is a huge unlock. Now, I did say AI for summaries. So what we typically do is over here, once you have the data, you can say that, give me an executive summary of the information based on this that I can present to an audience of senior executives and the takeaways from this. I'm being very, very high level. This is not the best prompt, but still. This is one of the ways, if I don't want to really go through this information, I can just quickly ask it for a quick summary. So significant downward trend. And you can see what it's done as well as it's not relied on what I've said in the past. It's actually gone back and reanalyzed this and kind of computed some numbers. And based on these numbers, it's giving me its takeaway, right? So this is, again, very useful if you don't want to read all of this. And you can see it's also given the data source. So, and now if I want to present this to somebody, I can then go ahead and drop it into my current favorite tool, which is NotebookLM, and quickly paste that in and get you something to look at. So if you missed session 1 and session 2, this is like my most favorite use case these days, the infographic tool of NotebookLM. There's also a slide deck tool of NotebookLM, which allows me to quickly create slides. Highly recommended to put to use. In fact, we should just abuse the heck out of it. This is one of the best tools that has come out in the market. Okay, so we'll take a pause from here from a spreadsheets perspective. Yes, a lot of tears. Yes, please do cry. Your tears are are what will fuel engineers in the future. And if anyone from Google or Microsoft is on this call, please note the anguish in people's eyes. It's truly a sad moment. I did say today would be disappointing, but it will get better. The sun will rise one day on our very special needs of AI within tools. So don't worry about that. Okay, so let's look at slides. Now I'm going to switch gears. And by the way, if you're not able to do any of these, don't worry about it. This is not meant to be a session where you'll go through every single use case. The recording is there. Some of you will have these features, some of you will not because your company has disabled it or you need to pay to upgrade. But just kind of think of today's session as just finding out what is possible. And mostly today's homework will be based on using Gemini to generate these. So don't worry if you don't have the tools. Ideally, everyone has the free version of Gemini, which is good enough for this kind of analysis. Okay. Okay, now let's look at slides, which is our most commonly, second most common use case. What we typically do when we're creating slides these days is we use a mix of Gemini and Canva. As you can see, I'm in Canva. Canva is a great tool for quickly creating visuals that are easily editable. PowerPoint is also very nice. No issues with that at all. Let's go ahead with that. And I've got slides on the other end. So I'm going to open slides and presentation at the same time. Now, there is a Copilot in presentation. So I'm going to, in PowerPoint, I'm going to look at PowerPoint first. And again, it's like there are different teams within Microsoft all trying to compete and build you something. And it's sometimes very annoying to kind of see that they're not nicely integrated. But that's just how it is. So let's just take the summary of this analysis, because that seemed like a good place to start. And let me just open that in a Google Doc. I tend to find that exporting to a Google Doc just makes the formatting nicer compared to, yeah, there we go. Let's use this. Compared to just copy pasting, it just retains all the formula. So we've got this sort of information, and let's disappoint ourselves now with Google, because so far we were a good fan of Google. We love their spreadsheet work. Let's see what they have for us. So when I open slides as of today, it says slides beta. Okay, so I will just select that. There's also images, infographics. We'll not get into that. Let's just go into this. And here it just says there's help me visualize where you can create slides. So I'm going to just, for now, create a slide based on the below. Yeah. And I pressed enter too early. Okay. Yeah, now I pasted the summary. So I'm going to just click send and see what it does. So this is on Google Slides. So while this is happening, let me see how the Microsoft version does it. Now there's two ways that Microsoft pulls this off. One is Copilot, which again, I'll just paste it and just see what this does. Create slides, create slides. Oops. No, I don't want you. That's a great question over there. Using Gemini to day-to-day actions like VLOOKUP, some product, yeah. So some of these, if you guys are Excel pros and VLOOKUP and index match is your day-to-day bread and butter, prepare to be disappointed further with even less use cases in those spaces. Where AI right now is good at, as of 25th Jan, 2026, is just taking that raw bunch of information, creating a tool around it, and presenting it back to you. So it's not as smart right now as inserting specific functions that'll do something. Okay, so let me just look over here. So coming back to PowerPoint, yeah, so it's done a decent slide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of it. Would you like me to add, or would you like me to? So create slides based on this. So this is kind of what I would expect that it would do. And it kind of just stays in its own box. This is just how it is. So it's like it doesn't even care what's happening on this side. It's just gonna stay here. There's a wall, there's an invisible Chinese wall here that kind of separates this and this. So this is one way of using Copilot. It's effectively like ChatGPT that doesn't know that it's designed to work with slides. The other way is over here, if you see Copilot and create a new presentation, where I can create a new presentation based on content. So I can actually give like the dump of information to some extent. Let me just see if I can get rid of something just so that it stays on board. Yeah. Oh, that's not a lot. So the way generative AI right now is good at it, it likes generating things. So when you have no idea what to do, use this to quickly create slides. It's not super great at taking the current information and processing in a way that you would find useful, etc. So it's good at just whipping some slides together that make you look like you've done a lot of things very quickly. So you can see here, it's going to create some slides. And again, I do not know why it separates the create a presentation and the Copilot on this side as two separate entities. But like I said, they're two different companies for practical purposes. Okay, so you can see it's done some slides and it's also created some quick visuals. So let's just quickly see those. You can see that I think it's created a slide, and oh, I like the design suggestions. I do like that it's going to go full screen, just visually, sure, and I can play around with this. I like my topics on this side, an image. So I do like this. This is kind of a quick, easy way to do things. But what all information have I given? I've given pretty much like 2 paragraphs. It's tried to extrapolate it and just create a whole bunch of placeholder slides. Nothing super fancy, but maybe this would have taken me a day or 2 to kind of get going. I will then just create more of this, and this time I will paste everything afterwards. So I'm kind of manually breaking up the tasks over here. Strategic takeaways. That's also this. Yep, so it's creating those slides, sure. Now, there are other tools that are good at generating slides from scratch. Again, if you don't have any content, something that I have played around with in the past is Gamma, which again allows you to quickly generate certain slides. So if you see here, I've asked it to create a couple of slides, and my prompt was find ways that Microsoft 365 Copilot allows you to use AI in it. That was broadly the prompt. So you can see here, it's created a version of these slides. Again, this is a free tool / it's a paid tool if you want to use for more than certain tiers. But when you need to present something in like in 5 minutes, you can just prompt something and it'll create some slides, right? But most of the time as working professionals, we probably need to give some content and generate some slides. And while you can copy paste in or upload a file and it'll rearrange it, within Microsoft right now, the way it just works is it has pretty limited functionality. Let me see if I can get this going. Create a presentation, okay. Create a presentation on the benefits of Microsoft O365 and the new AI capabilities. And let's also look at what we did earlier. I said create a slide based on this, and it has created an infographic. Insert as a new slide. So it's taken the text that I've given and it's created an infographic, and a fairly boring one, right? So NotebookLM's infographic model is actually superior to this. I'm able to do a sort of better visuals, and now with my Canva edit kind of functionality, if I want, I can edit it. But yes, this is what we're able to do. I do consider sort of Microsoft's ability to create these slides slightly better than Office 365. I mean, Google, because at least I get editable text. I can quickly generate something out of that. Whereas in Google, this is an image. This is, again, another image. And if I want to make any changes, I have to use text. And it only works one slide at a time. That's pretty much it. That's how AI is as of today. I know. Yeah. So I'll not dwell too much on this heartache. If there's any other questions that you have about this, again, I am crying internally with you, but that's just a limitation as of today. In fact, there are other companies working on different tools. One of the other very promising candidate is a site from China. They have something called like Kimi Slides. So it's a similar sort of functionality where it does research and gives you slides back. I made this about 2 hours ago. I prompted this: create slides explaining the latest AI features in Office Suite by Microsoft, things that were possible in 2026 that were just not possible last year. And so it did a whole bunch of research and a whole bunch of other things, and finally gave me this. So let's just take a look at what it did. And you can see most of these slides are very text heavy because LLMs really prefer working on text, and sort of went with this sort of dark mode on it. Again, nothing that I would really be happy presenting, but sure, if that's what's possible, then that's what I'll take. There's some slides that are probably better templated, etc., but this is, as of now, the best that we have as of today. So realistically speaking, we still are heavy users of Canva, and we kind of manually make some slides. We bring in some infographics. Nowadays, we're able to edit that as well and quickly put together. So Gemini, Canva, I guess NotebookLM is still kind of our fan favorite at the moment. Okay, so we're about 1 hour into this. If you're not in tears already and just be like, no, I had so many use cases in my mind, I want to do more. Yeah, editable slides and graphics. What more do you want? That's as of today. Okay, so we'll just spend maybe the next 20 minutes or so in terms of what Word can do, and then we will open for people who have raised their hands. So if you do have questions that you want to just shout out to the world, or if you just want to break down in front of everybody, feel free to just raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you can come and collectively vent out of what you wish you could do. So in about 20 minutes of that. All right, let's look at now Docs and Word. And I'd say this is where you would expect AI to excel as of today, and it kind of does. So you can just say, generate a document, create a document about the best practices in using AI for office productivity tools like Word, Spreadsheet, and Sheets, and what are the current limitations and what people can expect in the future to be able to do with these latest tools. By the way, I've also started getting better at speaking faster because that just seems to be a more effective way of working. And yeah, so maybe if this is like a slight ray of hope of what AI can do, you can see here that within like a second or 5 seconds, I was able to create this tool. It's created a nice image. It's telling me that, yeah, the best use case is creating a draft. Yeah, the best use case is creating a formula to calculate. I would say just ask it to analyze and give you something, and give me an image. Current limitation, fact checking is not there. So yes, 100% I would fact check everything before I do it. And new topics that are not there. Okay, so it's kind of come up with that. the irony of this is it's not really done a full research to come up with what is currently available. And so my workflow, if I really wanted to do this, is go to Gemini, ask for a deep research on the latest, and then take the data in and ask it to process it and give me this information. Future of AI, hyper-personalization. Yeah, okay, different reports for different people. Yeah, I think that's one way of looking at it. You could have, like, I guess, anyone who's been in the market looking for jobs, you guys have different CVs for different sort of industries or different types of companies or different showcases. AI can just kind of prepare those different versions very quickly. And if you use custom gems and other sort of custom GPTs, you can, again, create different versions of different gems using AI very quickly as well. Now, this is just random text, so I'm not too fussed about this. But let's say I want to just add something. So if I click here and I say, add a section about how without AI, things would be worse, and with AI, things are now much better. Okay, so it gave me that, and I can refine it further if I want, but I'll just insert it as is. So before AI, data analysis is slow. Weeks spent preparing data. Yep. Document creation is slow. Things are slow. Okay. Another limitation I didn't mention on slides especially is probably the biggest use case right now is uploading your old content and making it look good in a new template. I am embarrassed and not really surprised to share that that functionality doesn't exist yet. But hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next few months it will be. So I will get back to you with the latest report once we do that. Okay, so this is how I currently use Word docs, Google Docs for quickly generating some sort of document. I did mention that whenever there is a research that is done in Gemini, just being able to push that into a doc is very, very useful because it just retains the entire formatting in a very useful way. Now, if I wanted to use the Word version of that, let me see that. There's 3 people who raised their hands, so we will be getting them on shortly. Now, here, Word has decided to describe what you'd like a Copilot. Again, for reasons unbeknownst to us, they have decided that there's 2 different ways of interacting with Copilot. One is above and one is below. But I don't know how to reactivate the one above, so I'm just going to see if I can get it back. There you go. And I did ask for this earlier, so let me see if I can just select that. That's nice. And it's creating a draft. And it's pretty decent. Look at that. It's created a kind of a version of this. And use AI recommended templates, engage with suggestions, use the summaries, collaboration tools, accessibility. Okay. So nobody's saying anything exciting other than it's nicely formatted, etc. Key use cases of this is quickly generating summaries, sending this to somebody, creating multiple versions of the document if you want, so that you have different audiences. Again, don't just think of all these tools as linear, doing something better than what it was in the past. But what are the new capabilities that get unlocked? So you might have one document and you quickly want to create another version of it, or, for example, translate this to Japanese. I've never done this, but I have faith that it kind of will work and do something like that. Yeah, so, you know, I'm trusting that it's decent Japanese, but things that were not possible, you know, a year or 2 ago are now quite normal, where you can just say translate it to something else, and you can quite reliably do that. And you can, again, take the same thing, generate an image of it, put it back in, right? These are things that were not possible earlier, so think of it in that lens. And anything else that you're stuck with right now, you can Yeah, write it down in your diary, set a reminder for 6 months from now, and post in the same WhatsApp group saying, hey, did somebody solve this yet? And hopefully somebody will. I have faith. I have faith. Okay, so we looked at sheets. We looked at we looked at docs. We looked at using all of these 3 main productivity tools. Realistically, what we end up doing as of today is a lot of Gemini and docs. That's just the kind of shop that we are. As you can see, within the different Copilot things, you can still ask it to create different text and change certain things. Again, you probably would have used so much translation or that sort of tools, but this is sort of what you can do. And they are working on other functionalities in the future of more agentic writing, interacting with different documents, so you can link different documents. I don't think it's there as of now, but you should ideally be able to link your spreadsheet and say, ask the Word document to read the spreadsheet and get it back and give that information to you. Let me just see if if Word doc has it. Go here. Yeah, so you can add sources from your drive. So whatever your drive document has, you can pull that information in and you can analyze that and do something with it. So let me see if I can add this document and say, create a summary of the slide. So ideally, once these technologies get mature, you can interact with different documents across documents and just quickly pull that in. So it's pulling that slide and talking about some of the content that was generated there, and I can quickly insert it here. And you can see the sources. One is this document, one is that. It's a small thing, but maybe that'll unlock something else. Okay, so I hope most of you are quite sad by today. I'm sad. It's not that I'm delighting in the pleasure of this, but this was one of the most asked questions. What can I do with Copilot? We have a Copilot subscription. And yes, there are certain things you can do. As you can see in Copilot Labs, it does allow you to take data and quickly generate some sort of insights and visuals. But the way Copilot base model is currently integrated is sadly slightly disappointing. But when I do paste it in, and I can see there's some graphs and there's some inputs, but I think as of today, the Copilot Labs feature, which is not publicly or not available to everyone at this moment, does a fairly good job of what I would expect when I say analyze this and give me some sort of visual and output. So I fully expect that this to be rolled out, and I think the, let's see, agent mode. Agent mode is coming out in a few places. So as of today, and they claim to be very good at a variety of spreadsheet tasks, so they have benchmarked it. This is very interesting. Their own benchmark says that it is, falling quite short of a human doing something. So it's a great advertisement of AI in Excel beating every other AI, but I think this is fairly telling that, yeah, it's not as good as a human doing sort of the same spreadsheet tasks. And they've created certain examples like run an analysis, give me the insights, and it does a fairly good job of analyzing it. And let's just see what these guys have shown. So you have the data over there. And it's analyzing this, the Excel Labs. You can see the Excel Labs thing, which is the same thing I've shown a second ago. It's doing this analysis, and it's inserting a table, and it's inserting the graphs. And these tables are, again, linked tables and linked graphs, so it's fully editable, which is what I would have expected. And there's a whole bunch of other things, right? Even in agent mode, you can connect it with the data, and it'll give you a report from another document. And even within slides, it can do more. But as of today, Excel is available in the Frontier program for Copilot licensed customers. And it's there on web. It's not there on desktop. And there's a Frontier program. So this whole concept of Frontier program is to simply say it's enabled at an enterprise level or as a group level for people who are paying for it. And you do have to enable it. Enable Microsoft Odyssey. You need a Copilot license, and it's on beta channel, and you can use it there. So this is still very cutting edge. I did check like an hour before to see if it is open to everybody. There is an option to enable it if you're on a paid version of it, like I said. So already, I know there's a Microsoft camp and there's a Google camp, so I'm disappointed half of you already. And now there's a paid version and a free version, so there's another slice of that. So maybe there's one person who knew that paper and pen is up in the way, and they're happy that all of us are in sort of misery just expecting more. But that's okay. It's okay to be sad, because sadness today is happiness tomorrow. The sun will rise at the end of all of this, and hopefully all these tools will trickle down to free tiers, will trickle down to every single use case over here. And the reason why I wanted to show this showdown between Microsoft and Google's tier is that whenever one of them does something, the other is immediately looking at, oh, how do we bring that in? And I would say Google's a little bit more experimental, so they're happy to kind of push stuff out there just to see what happens. Whereas Microsoft, I think, has a lot more of an enterprise thought process, so they really want to make sure that it works as perfectly as it gets, and then only they'll release it. So they'll always call this as a labs feature or a frontier feature until at least half of their current customer base is comfortable enough to use it. That's just the nature of these techs. Okay. Yep. So pretty much I want to just wrap up here for today, just to kind of highlight these are the basic tools that are available. There are other tools that are sort of somewhat better in different aspects, but not really much better than what I've shown you today. Hopefully some of these will improve, but that's pretty much as we stand. And as you can see, that's pretty much what we've got over here. Yeah, and so for those of you who are trying to just replicate some of these functionalities are hidden slightly awkwardly, so you will have to find them. I'll update the slides today with whatever is the latest best practices of trying to find them or activate them, so you can get them after this. All right, I'm pretty much done for today. Hopefully this is a short and sweet session. I think it's just been an hour and 5 minutes. Yes, a lot of tears. Any other questions to start now for people joining in and speaking up? So yeah, if you're not unhappy at the end of the session, then I think I've failed, because I did want you to feel the dissatisfaction of what's there today, and so that maybe in a few months from now you'll see that, yay, it's all been there. Okay, so with that, I will call that a semi-wrap, and people who have questions that they don't want to speak out can drop it in the Q&A. People who do want to speak up, I will now just invite you up to speak. So let me see if I can just get that going. Allowed to talk. Just making a couple of you active with mics on. Yeah, so if you want to just come up on the podium and just say hello with me, please raise your hand. Yeah, so this is kind of what I see. So yeah, cool. You can unmute and speak. So guys, we're now in the Q&A session of the program. So if you have any questions, you can drop off and catch the recording later. If you want to ask questions about anything we've done so far, but focus on today, feel free to ask questions.
Vishal, can I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Vishal, I posted this message in that Q&A also. So, how to generate slides in companies provided format?
Yeah, so as of today, that isn't possible. Based from what I've tried, you can just look at the current design suggestions and you have to do it manually. So simple answer, what you're asking for is not possible in Jan 25th of 2026. I will see if there is a way of kind of doing it, but from what I've seen and tried, you just have the current template and you can pretty much reorganize the text, but it's a lot of manual effort. It's not smart yet.
Vishal, I have a few questions to ask. Can I? Raghavan here.
Yeah.
Okay, as usual, I am a laggard. Today's class I just could not follow, so that give me tips of how to go step by step. Second thing is somehow Handy does not behave on my computer today. I don't know the reason. Third is last week I was traveling, so I didn't catch up with the homework for the session 2. So how do you advise me to go about it? Especially today's session, I thought I'm completely lost. What is the reason?
Yeah, so today I think it was more a showcase of what Microsoft Word, spreadsheet, and PowerPoint can do within Microsoft and Office Suite. So there will be some things that you might not even have access to because you are not on a paid tier or enterprise tier, etc. So don't worry about it too much. But on, let's say, if you're not already paying for Office 365, then the Google Suite of AI slides and docs and PowerPoint, you can just follow the recording and you can just see that, okay, how do I upload some text and chat with that text from a data perspective? Or how do I put a draft of my current content and prompt on one side to make changes on the other side? So I think those are, I would say, the two key takeaways from today.
Like we downloaded Handy and other software in the first session. Anything that has to be downloaded as a result of second or third sessions?
No. So right now we've been focusing on the first time was Handy. The second session was more about using Notebook LM and Gemini.
Yeah.
So you don't install anything. And today's session is focused on the Google Docs and the Google Slides.
Yeah, that I noticed. Only thing is that it was too pacey for me to be hands-on.
Yeah. So this is, again, like I said, this is more of just showcasing what is there, and not all of it will apply to everybody, but there was a lot of ask of what Microsoft Copilot can do, and that's why I just wanted to walk through the different functionality that's available as of today. Okay. And when it comes to Handy, I'll just check in. Maybe I'll just sync up with you after the session to see what happened.
Okay.
Sometimes it needs to be restarted.
Okay.
Hi, Vishal. Bhaskar here. I can see that you have, when you give a prompt through Handy, it comes out very neatly because I think you got used to using voice to capture the prompts. But in my case, when I try to do that, there are lots of ers and ums and, a lot of gaps because I'm not speaking, I'm thinking as I'm speaking, right? So that's a constraint which I faced. And I was wondering, does it make sense to, kind of think through the sentence in your head and then speak it, and then we are probably losing some of the advantages. So this is a constraint that I face, that as I am talking while thinking, there are a lot of ers and arms which I don't know whether they are compromising the quality of the output.
So let's see what Andy has picked up. So I was just doing what you were saying at the moment. Now, while you're speaking, obviously this went through the speaker, etc., and I just used Handy to convert this into text. Today, they will ignore it. So the good news is you don't have to worry about the ums and ahs because it's just the prompt. And in fact, you don't need to say, please do this or thank you for this. Just give it as crisply and consistent as possible. But generally, my advice is don't worry too much about your ums and ahs at all, because as long as you get the meat of what you're trying to say, it will it'll clean that up and handle it. And in fact, generally LLMs are good enough that even if you make a mistake in the word, from the context of everything else that you said, the prompt itself, it will correct it and it will know that you meant this and continue this way. So I wouldn't stress too much about the ums and ahs at all, and focus more about structuring your even the ask in such a way that, like, you put your question at the first, then you give some more context, and then you reinforce, the examples of what you're looking at. So the whole prompt structure is something that you should get more and more good at. And this is also another muscle, right? It's like typing, it's like drawing, etc. How do you articulate a prompt verbally as quickly as possible? The more you practice, the more efficient you will get at it. And I'm sure, in a couple of weeks, you'll become masters of voicing or voice typing with these tools.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vishal, Shobha here. I see a feature called AI Assistant in Excel. Would you be able to elaborate on what that does? Because I was hoping that you would be covering that as well. That's point number one. Point number two, the same PowerPoint slides, when we are talking and presenting it, there's a lot of context that we'll end up putting in live situations. So is it possible to put an audio or a video input along with the PowerPoint slide as part of the prompt to create the final PowerPoint slide? You know what I mean?
Okay. So just to confirm, so one is AI Assistant in Excel.
If you just say equal to AI.
Yeah. So where are you seeing AI Assistant? Just in case I'm missing that, over here or?
No, click on any cell.
Is it on here or?
No, click on any cell and say equal to AI, and it will start prompting you. Don't go to Copilot. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
because some
good.
don't have Copilot, so I have never figured out what Copilot does. Of course, that's a larger question of, can I just install it? Because it doesn't seem to be one of those add-ins that are available to me either.
Yeah. So thanks for raising that. Actually, I was going to mention something like that. So there is a new formula. I think in Excel they call it, or in Sheets they do call it AI, where you can give a prompt directly within a spreadsheet. So
yeah.
Okay, thanks for actually sharing this. So write a prompt. Write a one-line joke. This is actually a very good point. So let me just show you how we've used this in the past, for example. Let me get some sample data. Create a table of different clients I want to read. So name, company, size of business as columns. Insert. Okay, so actually what you're asking for is this AI functionality, and effectively what this AI does is it allows you to prompt at a row level, where you can say create a welcome letter addressed to, and this is where you have to be a little tricky. You have to put that in here. Of the company and ask for a follow-up on so what this does is basically first takes this, converts it into a text. So it actually prompts, it sends as if you pasted this into Gemini saying create a letter with this information. it will generate the content. Now I can quickly just copy this formula and paste this over here, and it will generate a different content based on this information. So if you don't have a structure like this is, again, I think it's just copy pasting or similar sort of thing. Please, okay, it's just following a standard one. In some cases, you can actually say whatever data that you had on this side, you can embed into an AI prompt, and you can say
So this uses Gemini inside Excel, is it?
Yes, yes, yes. Return big if this says medium or large. Yeah, it auto fills it. So you can kind of use it for like fuzzy matches, where you can say analyze each row, and just see whether it is return big, else return small.
Oh, it is like an if then else statement. I mean, why complicate our lives with AI then?
Yeah, exactly. So you can use it as an if then else. You can use it to generate like a letter or something like that. Where it would be valuable is, let's say I go to Google News, and let's talk about 2 minutes. I'll just show you this. So I previously used this in the case of analyzing a lot of text at a row level. So let's say Office and Google News. Okay, so let's say I have this information, which I'll just copy of Office, and I'll paste it here. Okay, this is kind of messy, but I'll just quickly tidy this up. Go to AI. If any new, if this news headline contains some M&A news, say deal, otherwise say no deal.
Okay, so it can interpret what it is reading. Okay.
So this is where the power of it comes in, where you can, like, it can read the English, which in if else case wouldn't know that it's English or not.
Okay, right.
So let's say I'm expecting invest. Why did I not M&A? Oh, it's not M&A. M&A or investment. Come on, Murphy. So don't join this problem. But yeah, if you want to go row by row and quickly analyze a lot of text, using
Okay. This is an interesting use case. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for bringing this up.
And I actually used on Friday after a meeting, I put in some audio notes, used Handy, converted that to a written transcript. Use that as a source along with a very detailed user guide of my products. And I asked AI to generate a PowerPoint slide of my proposal, which it did in Notebook LM, which it did in 3 minutes, which was very impressive.
Yeah. But, I mean, that sounds perfect. So you're able to push your text in, get some audio, audio in, text out, put it into different tools and get some slides. That's probably what, like a few hours of work easily?
Yeah, absolutely. And very, very clear comparison of features with the challenges I had noted down in my notes, voice notes converted, which is transcribed to a written note. Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks, Shobha. I think that was a great question you brought up. I'm glad you did, because I forgot about mentioning this. But yeah, the use case of this is not just numbers. Like you can do an if else here, but wherever text that you want to analyze at low level,
Yeah,
it's very
this is something, yeah, because the earlier one you could do it with a if-then statement, but this is very interesting. Yeah.
thanks.
Hi,
Shobhit.
Vishal, this is Krishna here. Two things. One gentleman has asked about the company provided format and the mismatch of what AI provide as a slide, right? I am working for Google as extended team member. I do face this kind of challenges. So the shortcut which I found, which is not a good one, but it is a time taking, generate in Gamma and ask for a white background and convert that to either slide or PPT if you are using on Google platform slide, and then play with the master slide and the tone, that font, and so on and so forth. So that's one. Second thing is I saw you prompting not by typing, by dictating. So in Notebook LLM, I did not found that mic so that I can speak and the prompt get converted.
Yeah. So I use like different kinds of tools for speech. This is the one that am using at the moment, which is speaking into text field. So if I can say, create a slide about using AI in today's business context, and it'll give that. So okay, I spoke too fast probably.
What is that tool? Sorry, what is that tool?
This one, handy.computer. And I'll share the link over here. Handy.computer.
Okay, if you can paste that link. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is definitely something, and if you're not using speech-to-text tools, please start developing the habit of it. Like this is, I think, one of the most valuable unlocks that AI is able to do as of today. Literally, OpenAI and other companies are investing heavily into the future of using voice for communicating and building things. In fact, OpenAI is partnered with the previous maker of the designer of iPhone and iPod to come up with a hardware version of OpenAI, ChatGPT, etc. And one of the biggest things they're focusing on is how do we make the voice experience that much better. And this is one of the things this one is free to use. It runs entirely on your system, so there's no risk of data leakage, etc. But yes, as you can see, it's very efficient for getting stuff in, and pretty much this is how we operate now as an organization as well.
Okay. Hi Vishal, this is Aman here.
Hey Aman.
Yeah, so I pretty much live my life on ChatGPT, and I have multiple projects and chat history of various aspects of my work and life on ChatGPT. Now, when I'm trying to explore Gemini right from the start, I have this exit barrier in ChatGPT. Now I don't know if how do I get all my chat history and data to either Gemini or to Copilot. But in the real world, everybody mostly interacts with Excel sheets. I love using Google Docs and Google Sheets. So I'm confused, like how many different platforms do you use and pay for? Or whether you keep everything central on ChatGPT and then just use that to generate Excels and PDFs, and then
yeah. So as of 25th January 2026, we were using ChatGPT quite a lot, but more and more, I think in January onwards, my default go-to app has become Gemini. And what I did was I did a one-time sort of migration of everything that you know about me. I have basically copied this and put it into Gemini saying, here's what you know about me, and just pasted it there so that it knows my context, like what I do, what I've been building, etc. This is at like one level, but if you go to like personalization and memory, you can actually see all of the different things that it knows about me. So this is everything ChatGPT knows about me. So literally, if I just copy paste this and go to Gemini and say, this is what you know about me, it will then become as if Gemini knows about you, right? So learn this about me. So over time, Gemini as well will again retain a history about you. understood. I've updated my internal context, etc. Right? So it's built. Now when I go and chat in a new chat window, it'll say like, okay, so what is SiteRank? So like we're building a tool that can, for example, optimize your rankings on ChatGPT and Gemini, right? So this is one tool. So now based on what I fed it in the previous chat, it is now able to pull up and have a conversation, right? So that's one way. As a normal habit, Gemini is now becoming more and more my main preferred workflow. It will continue to be that way until maybe something else comes along. But don't get married to one. Be aware that, yeah, different tools are getting better at different aspects. Be ready to switch on a regular basis. Not like you can easily copy paste between different AI platforms. So it's not too much of a hassle these days.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Vishal, hi. Rajesh here.
Hey, Rajesh.
Hi. I've been using Notebook LM extensively since the first session, and one area of frustration is that the processing of the file generation or even the source uploading keeps going on and on. And after a few minutes, only after I refresh the window, hard refresh the window, that I see the content having generated. Is there a hack to that, or is this not a common thing?
It's not a common thing. I usually have a mental model of about 15 seconds for an image and about max 60 seconds for slides. So if I don't see something in 50 seconds, I just refresh and then it's usually done by then. So I don't even stress about it. I just kind of know, okay, I raised it 15 seconds ago. It should have been here by now. I have seen also in some cases that depending on the volume load that Google is going through, it may take a minute or two, but almost always it will generate something. So I've just taken it as, hey, I'm getting this much value for this little effort and cost. Just wait another minute and it should come in. Yeah.
So if I'm making a 15-slide presentation, then I should ideally wait for 15-20 minutes.
May not be that long actually. Let me just try and upload this content. Let's see how long. Usually 60 seconds is my mental model for slides because it's like multiple slides have to be stitched together. It may take longer, 10 minutes, etc. But don't.
The other question is like in
I've seen, I think at most somebody said it took 45.
Got it. Yeah. So the other question is like in ChatGPT or Gemini, there's a button to stop the prompt, right? If you want to stop midway. But here in this case, there is no button to stop the processing.
Yeah. So that's just the nature of this is how they've done, because ChatGPT and Gemini are basically linear conversations, right? So you're meant to wait for the previous before you can go to the next one. Whereas in Notebook LM, it's like I can just click on all of them in sequence and it will just do all of them. Like, it's not interrupting my flow.
Things like closing the window, starting the window again, and it still doesn't work.
Once you've started, you're right. There's no way to stop it. But if the infographic or material is running for more than 5 minutes, that's fairly unusual. I have seen in some cases where it says error could not generate. And then I know, okay, if I just click now, it might work. But yeah.
Right.
But Vishal, sorry, on the same context. Sorry, on the same context, you know, when we upload many documents, suppose I have given a source of 10 document and I pressed generate infographics. Okay. So what it does, it take all the 10 into account and start creating it. But what I meant was that during my prompt, in the series of prompt, I want for a recent prompt to generate a graphics. Is that possible?
You can select the sources, so it only selects whatever you want, and based on that, it can generate. So it will not apply to all of them. So you can have, say, let's see, where do I have multiple documents? Okay, got this one. AI Spectrum. So I've got 3 different files. So based on whichever one I want, I can say generate an infographic, and then it will make it based on one source. Now, if I select just this one and I click, it'll make it on one source over here. And if I select, let's say these two for whatever reason, and then I click on this, it should say generating based on 2 sources. So I can select the sources and then choose my output in different ways. And even the chatting over here, if I don't need a specific output or I'm just using it as a research, if you see this number also changes here, right? Like summarize all three documents. What I have seen sometimes that works better is instead of having too many separate files, wherever you know that you want a very crisp kind of output, use this sort of chat functionality to summarize and sort of tease out the key aspects of what you want, and then create a new notebook LM or save to notes. So if you see here, I'm saying summarize all 3. Like if you don't want to create a new one, what I'm going to do is, I like this, it seems okay, then I will click save a note. It'll generate a note based on this. And then I can actually convert to source. So I can take this generated summary and it goes back as a source. And then I can use this source to generate a visual or whatever I want, right? So this is one way that I could optimize. If I have too many files, it'll try and be like, okay, out of the 3 files, which is the most important, which is least important. So rather I kind of prompt it in a way that I get the final output that I want as a summary, and then make it as a source again for my infographic.
But Vishal, what is that add note? I thought that if you press it, the current chat or the prompt answer convert that into infographics. Is that true? No.
So this note is just an empty document, right? So it's very similar to adding a source as a text image. Just a note is for you to quickly just type something like, hello, this is where I type something. And I can just save this, and I don't have to, like, it's a rough note. I don't even want to mix it into my sources. It is just my final output. But let's say I do like this note that it's generated. I can convert it into source. So the note is like a temporary rough paper. You can type something or you can save this output into a note. These are all of output. So rough paper, if I think, okay, I'm happy with this rough paper, I will add it to my source. Then the source is used to generate sort of sheets and infographics and slides, etc. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a good question.
Yeah, Vishal, one more question. The prompt, should it be given in the middle window or should it be given inside the window where we select the detail versus simple?
So,
there are 2 ways of giving the prompt, is it?
No, so the chat is just meant to have a conversation with the source files. So in this, it will take whatever you give as a raw input and you can have a conversation with it. So it's useful for just learning what is there and asking questions and sort of having a back and forth with it. When you want to create something, that's when you're right. You click on the pen icon and you can specify what you want as the output. So this is the one line that says, create an infographic focusing on 1, 2, 3, whatever that is. So this is where you use the prompt to generate your final output. The chat is purely like using ChatGPT. Just upload a file and say, hey, what is there? Summarize this. Give me textual output, whatever that is. Right? So there are 2 separate functionalities.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Bhaskar here. One more question, Vishal. In your opening slide, which you go in every session, you have broadly classified it into an application layer, then the productivity user, application user, prompt engineer, and the data scientist. Now, as somebody forwarded something from the Davos conference, the market seems to be thinking of another kind of layering where they say it is application, model, infrastructure, chip, and energy.
Yeah.
What kind of layering is that? Or what are the other kinds of layerings that people talk about when they talk about the entire AI stack?
Yeah. That's a very good relevant point over here. So over here, the way I've kind of classified it is it's just at the software level, kind of at a high level sort of thing. If I add over here at the bottom, I've got the model. So this is what they're saying is the model. This is what they're saying is application. Application. Then where does the model run on? So it needs some sort of infrastructure. So you need data centers, data servers that can do it. And you need the energy level. You need chips that can make stuff happen. Yeah. So broadly, this is what I think they mentioned. To quickly summarize what they're saying is that right now there are a lot of applications that use ChatGPT, Gemini, backends, etc., and you can build nice applications on. So NotebookLM is a kind of application. There are a lot of businesses that run entirely at application level. Microsoft Word, Excel, these are all applications. Now models is the harder thing, where you need data scientists who understand like statistics, numbers, etc., to build the underlying brain of the AI, so the LLM. So OpenAI has a lot of researchers, Facebook has researchers, Microsoft has researchers, etc. They're trying to solve the software level here. And this is very mathematically intensive. Every few weeks, months, somebody's coming up with something innovative. It gets rolled out. DeepSeek is a model, for example, right? And these are all things people are working at a software level. Now, this is where software ends, and they all need to sit on and run somewhere, right? If we're saying it'll run, but where will it run? It can only right now, these kind of models run on very big data centers that are like massive warehouses, the size of cricket grounds, etc. Right? Now these infrastructure, a lot of companies are trying to invest in, where they can run like massive graphic cards and servers in one place that can run these models. So whenever you click on Gemini, create infographic, for us it's just a tiny click, but somewhere it is going to some data center, taking your input, taking the LLM model, processing it and giving you the image. So these are very compute intensive. These are actually like 10 times more like draining compared to even a simple search or a database. So these are already hard to build, or rather quite expensive, but Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, the big players already are pretty decent at building this kind of thing. But what they need to build these are chips, like the hardware that runs, the processors, right? Every laptop has a processor, your phone has a processor. And for language models to run, they need a specialized type of processor for running LLMs. And right now, these processors, which are made by NVIDIA, these are actually graphics chips, but they're very efficient at running AI models as of today. And so there are, again, a very few companies that can make it. NVIDIA is currently like almost a monopoly in this space. Google has their own infrastructure and they also build their own chips. So these are kind of like the two major players, but NVIDIA has almost become like the monopoly in these kind of things. Then finally, the bottleneck for all of this is energy. Like I briefly mentioned, the amount of energy the models take is like easily 10, 20 times what a simple Google search would take. So if you go to Google and you search something, let's say, what are AI tools today? This entire bottom section, let us say, just takes 1 paisa to run. This top part takes like 1 rupee to run. Like that's how much it takes to compute this particular kind of analysis in real time, get it to you, etc. Like it's anywhere from 10 to 100 times more expensive to run these. And if you're talking about images, it's even more expensive. Videos are like extremely expensive. So the bottleneck is from 2 parts: the amount of hardware that you have to run these, but more and more what is becoming a real bottleneck is how much power these guys consume. So literally the companies or the countries that are able to generate solar power, and now a lot of these companies are looking at nuclear power. So like OpenAI and Facebook are looking at acquiring nuclear power companies so that they can build the amount of infrastructure needed to supply the AI services that we now take for granted. So energy is going to become a bottleneck. So if a country at a national level does not have enough energy, like there is no point of running infrastructure if you don't have power. So this is a bottleneck. I think the Middle East is now looking heavily of bringing and inviting OpenAI to invest, because they're saying, hey, we will also supply you energy. So invest in our country so that we will have the capability, and other countries will start using our AI capabilities as a service. Okay.
Oh, that provides a lot of clarity. Just one other related question is that see, a lot of these models, they've all been run or trained on the internet, right? Whether you call it Claude or Gemini or OpenAI and all of that. So does an application technically can be developed on any of these models, right? Or do you say that some applications can only be developed on some models, some applications need another model, and so on? And the related question to that is that if I need to develop something which needs a data set which is particular to my business, let's say I'm a pharma company and I want to look at all data within my company to generate an application using ChatGPT or using Gemini. Does that work?
Yes. So all of these models, you're right, have been trained on the open internet, and the way they've been trained is just a smarter autocomplete, but within the context of what is there in the internet. So it just tries to predict what the next word is, but we are kind of delighted with the fact that, oh, not just one word, but entire paragraph, entire essay, entire book it is able to do. But that has all been trained on what it's seen in the past. So these are books that are available online. These are Reddit conversation. There are LinkedIn profiles, a lot of books as well. Claude has actually purchased books, digitized them, and then fed them as training into this material. So on one side, it is sitting on like the internet's collective intelligence, and the other side, it is sitting on ideally what you are giving as your custom data, right? So your training data, etc. So this is say internet data, and this is custom data. Now, these models that are kind of coming out at the moment, they're largely trained on what is available. So anytime there is a new set of information that hasn't been trained yet, right now the most effective way of doing this is saying use this custom data plus my base model and give me the final output. And these are not very efficient at the moment. In fact, there's a whole structural way of things that works. It's like whenever you're giving a prompt, like in fact, if you were there as part of the custom GPTs, etc., whatever you gave as a custom GPT as a prompt and your context, and maybe even uploaded a few files, internally what it does is whenever there's a conversation that happens, it will try and extract only 5 to 10% of your entire data set, and then it will analyze that and give you the output. So even if you're building like a full application that has all this pharma data that is there, you always need to add a layer in such a way that it will take only like a small slice of that. And again, I'm kind of glossing over the technical terms, but if you take only a small slice of that information, feed that into your context or your chat, and then finally give the output. So you might be sitting on C1 to C10,000, but in your final prompt, you will only send 2 of these, as well as your prompt over here. Prompt, and that final prompt is what gets generated, that is used to give you the final output. So these are not very efficient things at the moment, and there is a concept called context window, and context window is how much memory one particular prompt can handle at a single time. And the context window is not very large. It is at most 2 pages worth of content, roughly. It can be more, it can be less. Gemini has a very decent context window, and the other models have far less. But typically between 2 and 4 pages of content at one time is typically how much they can handle. So what do you put on page 1? You might put some general, okay, this is the question that I have, this is what I need to answer. Here is an example. Then on page 2, you might say, okay, based on my database, out of my C1 to C500, C1 and C3 have something relevant. So I'll put those as page 2. And page 3 might be, based on all of the above, give me the final answer. So there is sort of ways that applications are being written as of today that can take the LLM model to extract information, custom data, slices of it, and give you the final output. Those are the kind of what we are seeing as of today. Maybe in the future, you can upload even more information at a single shot and it will give you the final output. But this is how they're made as of today. Did that answer?
Okay, yeah, sure. The other alternative is to actually create a model and train it on your own data. That's the last step. I mean, that's going back to the model building.
Yeah. So, we have been building models when it first came out. You could actually upload a lot of your content and retrain the model to some extent. So you're basically like, let's say this is the entire model. Your layer is like one tiny part on top of it, like very thin part of it, and this entire massive thing is the internet data. But we actually realized that, okay, this whole training and retraining model is not very efficient, because every time you have some new information, do you again spend a few $100 to retrain the entire model? Or do you set it up in such a way that, okay, when new data comes in, make it search, so that for every prompt, it will just surface what it needs, process it quickly, and get the output out. So retraining model can start here from a few hundred to a few thousand to a few $1,000,000. Whereas just tacking on the custom data at the top is usually very efficient.
Got it. Okay.
And if you, just as an analogy, so NotebookLM, when you upload a PDF, you're not retraining entire Gemini, but you're able to get a nice infographic. So how does that work? Because what it does is, when you're saying generate an infographic, it extracts the relevant parts of your PDF, pushes only that text as a prompt, and then relies on Gemini's previous experience of building infographics to give you the output. Otherwise, what you might have to do is, if you are saying retrain the whole model, is take Gemini, the raw data, which is usually some 700 gigabytes roughly, and then add whatever PDF and remake the entire model from scratch, which will cost, again, thousands, if not millions of dollars to generate that one PDF. But you're seeing the output as single PDF, quickly type a prompt, you're getting the output. That's because they're following this very lean model on top of your past data.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Vishal, hi. Somebody mentioned to me about Cursor. Have you used it? How different is it from some of these other chat AI tools we're using for building workflows, for example?
So again, if you're getting into Cursor, I see they've changed their website quite recently. So Cursor and other tools come under a category of coding agents or coding tools. And in fact, Google Anti-Gravity is something that we use quite often over here in our organization. So these are all tools that are designed for developers. And you can see it's literally on one side you will have code, on the other side you will have AI, and you will say create this, create that, etc. We use various coding tools. So let's see, Cursor is one, Anti-Gravity is another. We use Windsurf as well, although there's a whole drama with Windsurf where the founders were acquired by Google, so they kind of moved on. You can see here there's another one. We also use another coding platform called Coder. So all of these tools are, you type in some prompt of your project, and then you get some sort of code that you can then use to run, etc. So for non-technical users, these are not really something that you would end up using, although I can see Cursor is kind of positioning themselves as slightly more friendlier. There are other tools if you want to code and build applications like Lovable, and even Google AI Studio does a fairly good job. But for day-to-day use, you wouldn't use these at the moment. There is a tool that I think Claude Cowork just came out a few weeks recently. They're kind of making waves in this space. It's more hype at the moment. It will slowly kind of become somewhat of a norm, but probably towards the end of this series, there will be a version of this good enough that I can share. I wouldn't call this production ready as of yet. There are also open source versions of this tool. Open source, open code has kind of come out with their version based on Claude Codes, Cowork, etc. But these are all very emerging tools. Most day-to-day, you would not use these. If you're a software product manager, I would stick to using AI prototyping tools more than these kind of IDEs than anything.
So for my customer service, where users send chats and emails, and we respond to them. We have thousands and thousands of such data sets already inside Zoho Desk. How
Okay.
can I use that data to come up with templates and prompts and improve the quality of auto responses better?
Okay. So right now, like, do you have a way of exporting all of that information?
I haven't checked. Yeah.
Okay.
From Zoho
So
Desk. Yeah.
export previous chats from Zoho Desk. Prompt in Gemini. What is working? What isn't? Prompt to set up, let's say, agent with FAQs, best practices, and workflow, and actions to take on different use cases. And then, so basically you're creating a persona of this. In fact, in the next, there's a session on workflows, etc. that will take up. Okay, close this guy. So similar to you, did you create a custom gem?
No, not yet. Yeah.
Okay. I think if you go back to the previous sessions recordings, like how we create custom gems, you'll see that, okay, if I can create a gem, that's like 90% of the difficulty of creating a custom agent persona. And then you need to figure out what tool you want to use to set this up. So for example, we are a big n8n shop. So that's something that we use to set up automations and workflows. And I'll be taking up a session on n8n in the future. There might be others who are using Zapier, Google and Microsoft. They haven't officially launched it, but there are different sort of workflow systems that Microsoft and Google are working on, which will make some of this possible as well. But right now, this is kind of like my preferred choice if you want to set up your own custom agent. So we've done something similar, like customer support for hotel bookings, hospital customer callback agent. Then for an incubator, VC WhatsApp bot for onboarding. So we've done different workflows, and I'll showcase some of them in the future. But once you kind of take your data and you process it using your prompt, kind of filter out what's good, what's not, create a persona. I would recommend you watch the previous recording on how to create a gem. At least you'll build the mental model of, okay, how do I create such a thing? You take literally the same persona and you feed it into a workflow system. So it's the input might be an email, text, chat, whatever it is. The agent here will read through and give you some response, and the output will either be again an email, it might be a voice callback, it might be again a chat if it's a chat flow. So something like that we can set up.
Vishal, which session we are going to learn this together for the workflow, automated agent, chatbot, things like that?
Great question. Let me just see where that session is currently scheduled at. That's these sessions, 15th and 22nd February.
So can you just share what we can expect from these two sessions? Like we
Sure.
understand, but the language of AI still we are evolving in ourselves, right? So for people like us, what we can expect from out of these two sessions?
Sure. I'll share some more details on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just one more question, digressing a bit. Zoho Desk works best with incoming WhatsApp messages and as well as emails, but we've been struggling with integrating incoming calls and creating tickets on Zoho Desk. There are some tools, Zoho Voice doesn't work in India apparently, and there are some other tools which were very expensive. So we're using Vodafone. They have a Vodafone telephony system, but that's a standalone system, and we're not able to make Zoho Desk and Vodafone talk to each other.
So we've set up something with Airtel, and we have a server in our office that handles inbound, outbound calls. Then we connect that to another server that takes the audio, transcribes it, and then pushes that into our workflows. So I'm not sure if you might need a custom solution for that.
Yeah.
You can discuss that offline if that's something.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah. Sounds like you need something custom that Zoho Desk also doesn't provide.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Any further questions? I hope I got everybody.
Yeah, I'm waiting for some little hand holding, Raghavan.
No, I will lower my hand. And this was fantastic, Vishal. Wish all of us a good, 26th January, which is a very good day for tomorrow. And thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. I see a couple of more hands have gone up. So I have activated you guys if you haven't spoken yet. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello? Lokesh, I think you can go on. Yeah. Okay. If there's...
I'm holding. Raghavan here. Just wanted those little hiccups to be removed.
Sure. Anyone else have any questions? Otherwise, we'll kind of stop recording and...
Vishal,